Welcome to Tarek Talk, a podcast exploring art, culture, and the stories that shape creative lives. I'm your host, Tarek Mendes, and each episode I sit down with artists and creative thinkers to talk about process, inspiration, and the moments that shape who we become. Thanks for being here. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to Tarek Talk. Walking into the Whitney Museum during the 2026 Biennial, you begin to feel how this exhibition moves across time, not just focusing on the present, but bringing past voices into dialogue with today. The Whitney, known for championing contemporary American art, becomes a space where histories are revisited, reframed, and reintroduced. Curated by Marcela Guerrero and Drew Sawyer, this biennial brings together artists across generations, creating unexpected connections between different moments in art history. It's not just about what is new, it's about what has been overlooked, interrupted, or left unfinished. And Carmen de Monteflores' work carries that sense of rediscovery in a powerful way. Her paintings, originally created in the late 1960s, immediately stand out through their form. These are shaped canvases, not confined to the traditional rectangle, but extending outward into space. The edges of the paintings become part of the composition, creating works that feel both structured and organic at the same time. Within these forms, bold fields of color unfold. There's a graphic clarity to the work, strong shapes, defined edges, but also a softness that comes from her process. De Monteflores always began with observation. She drew from the world around her, landscapes, family, figures, and those initial gestures remain embedded in the final work. You can feel that presence in the lines? They don't feel mechanical or rigid. Instead, they carry a sense of movement, of touch, of something observed and translated rather than constructed from a purely conceptual system. And this is where her work begins to diverge from the dominant movements of her time. While pop art in the 1960s often embraced flatness, repetition, and a kind of industrial aesthetic, de Monteflores' work remains grounded in something more personal. Her abstraction is not detached. It's connected to lived experience, to observation, to the body. There's an intimacy in that approach, but there's also a deeper story behind the work. In 1969, frustrated by the lack of opportunities for women in the art world, de Monteflores stopped painting altogether. She stepped away from a practice that was still evolving, still finding its place. Instead, she pursued a doctorate in psychology and went on to write 5 novels. That decision becomes part of how we understand the work today. These paintings are not just objects from the past. They are fragments of a trajectory that was interrupted. They carry both what was realized and what might have been. And within the Whitney Biennial, that history takes on new meaning. This exhibition is deeply concerned with systems. Who is included, who is excluded, and how those structures shape artistic visibility. By presenting de Monteflores' work now, the biennial becomes a space of re-entry, bringing her practice back into conversation with contemporary artists. That conversation becomes even more personal through the inclusion of sculptures by her daughter, Andrea Fraser, mother and daughter. 2 artists, 2 generations, 2 different practices, presented side by side. There's something powerful in that pairing. It creates a dialogue not only between forms, painting and sculpture, but between lives, between histories, between different experiences of the art world. Themes of inheritance, influence, and continuity begin to emerge. The Whitney space amplifies this encounter. As you move through the galleries, you feel the layering of time. Past and present coexist, not as separate categories, but as part of an ongoing narrative. And de Monteflores' work feels both historical and immediate. The colors still resonate, the forms still feel alive, the questions still matter. Within the Whitney Biennial 2026, her work becomes more than a rediscovery. It becomes a reminder of the artists who were overlooked, of the pasts that were interrupted, and of the importance of bringing those voices back into the present, where they can finally be seen, understood, and fully part of the conversation. Thank you for spending this time with me on Tarek Talk. If this conversation resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe and share the episode. You can follow along on social media for behind-the-scenes moments, guest highlights, and what's coming next.